Since our squash is already growing and it is already expanding, so we need to find some ways for us to be able to support its growth. And since our location is limited in space, so the only way for us to be able to allow the squash to grow is through a vertical manner. So that is why just today I purchased plastic ropes, and you will be able to see right now that here at the summit there are already ropes that I established, and in that way the vines of the squash are going to crawl at the summit. So it's on top of our head. We're just simply so excited about what it will look like once the entire squash vines are going to reach the summit. So perhaps we're going to just be expecting, if God allows us to harvest squash, that some of the fruits will just be harvested from the summit of this area where we have planted the squash. So right now, guys, there is no such significant development actually, because we don't have sufficient water today. So we delay a bit the watering of this squash. Perhaps early this morning we can do that if there is available water, and if we're going to be allowed to water this squash. But similar yesterday, I mean, the development this time is that the the leaves of the squash could no longer be accommodated on my camera, because it is it started to widen its leaves. I mean, the span of it started to widen, and that is what we have noticed. And right now also we can notice that the squash leaves are turning light green. I mean, the the newly grown leaves and vines and the tender shoots are actually very light green. So it means that this one, for example, has the capability to expand because this is still very young. So that's what we are observing right now, and it is expected that during more than a month time that we have been planting here, so it is expected that it reach such kind of stage of development wherein they're going to really be supreme, and they're going to just be spreading through. And right now that rope seemed to be occupied immediately by that young shoot. And here in this particular section, it became so successive. I mean, there are plenty of leaves that is growing, and we can really witness how eager this squash are are growing, and how eager they are to become supreme, and how eager they are to spread through all over. And that is why they seem to have a contest right now, similar with this one also. So if that section has supreme squash, here also there are supreme squash here. You can see that, and it almost reaching the summit right now. And it positioned itself to be spreading through, and in fact this one has reached already. So this is very fast, it reached already the summit. So I am wishing that as it reached the summit, it will not go higher towards the Kamachili branch. It can flatten actually here. So what we can do is to prune if it is not going to be um, disciplining itself. But one thing that we noticed among the squash plantation today, normally I remember before that as the younger or the tender shoot is growing, we prune it so that there are plenty of tender shoots on the sideways to grow. But what we are observing right now is that even if we didn't prune, you will be able to observe here that there are tender shoots that is growing even if we didn't prune. So how much more if we prune it? So the growth and development must have been similar. I don't know. Theoretically, we are doing the pruning just to thicken um, the, the the vines, and also to have that equal distribution of nutrients. But this time, I believe there's no need for us to prune it because the squash voluntarily does its job to provide us new young shoots. Mhm. So this time I think this one is recovering and it started to extend its vine towards the rope, and it seems that they're attuned to the support that they are receiving from the rope. Yeah, you can simply grow up, and this one also is trying its best to climb and reach the summit. And if you're going to consider the height here is higher, I mean, this seemed to be a valley, so that is why if you're going to consider the growth of this squash, it must have been the lengthiest of all because this one is valley. Mhm. So there is another one also that reaches the summit, so we are expecting that the growth of this is going to flatten. However, the squash has an option to even go towards the summit of the villa because by history we were able to do that before, and we are giving the squash the avenue to go up. It has its own choice. So this one also, yeah, we are so happy to see this because it started to subdue here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this one also seemed to have a target to go to the wire. This one, so we need to manipulate sometimes the growth of this squash. So far guys, I am just depicting to you the healthiest of all because some are actually not that healthy. They're still adjusting. Even the other squash at the other side, let's have a look of it anyway. Mhm. Let's have a look. We should not have a favoritism, or see our bucket really have a few deposits of water. So in here it started also, this one started to crawl, although it is slender because there's a canopy of malunggay here. I think I need to prune the malunggay also. So I don't think this is still recovering. The color is still yellowish, but of course it's part of the theme. And this one I think starts to crawl. This too started to crawl, and this one really is crawling, so I need to provide support system. This is positioning itself to climb, similar with this one, and this one started to climb. So nice among the batches here. It is slender, yet it is already climbing. This became so thick. This time, yeah, it became thicker. Thank you guys for watching SAS TV Official.